Here we see Robbie. Let's see what a normal day for Robbie is like. First, he heads to his job at Urban Science. While he heads for work, let's talk a little bit about who Urban Science is. Taking a data-driven scientific approach, Urban Science is known for providing solutions to nearly every automotive original equipment manufacturer, or OEM for short, in over 70 countries. AutoHook has clients consisting of OEMs and dealerships. Robbie works on the AutoHook Central Services team, creating web forms for their clients. These forms are then posted on a website to give offers to potential car buyers, incentivizing buyers to drive. They offer gift cards or other incentives that are then turned in when a car is test driven. These forms are then used to increase walk-in traffic, so they're very important business. The sooner these forms get out there, the faster the OEMs can see their return on investment. The first thing on his agenda is a meeting. Right now he's meeting with one of their clients, MSU Cars, who needs part of their template changed. They're having some issues with the way the color scheme fits with their website, so they'd like to see these fixed as soon as possible. Robbie shows them a template he has worked on in the past from a company called Mike's Cars. They like this template and decide that they should go with this template as a base. While meeting with the client, Robbie takes careful note of all of the client's requests. However, since Robbie can't show the client what the form may actually look like, he has no idea if the client will like the end result. Then, Robbie gets to work. Robbie enters the dev tools of his favorite browser and begins to make changes to the current form. Although he is able to see the changes live, for each change he makes, no matter how small, he must remember them all in order for him to accurately transfer these changes over to the actual file. He goes on making changes, taking the time to carefully denote each change. AutoHook has a lot of different clients, which leads to multiple different offers running at the same time. Currently, there's no way to organize these forms as they are in one giant list. Not only does he have to remember his changes, but he also has to remember to change each form and what each form is, since they're not all easily accessible. However, it seems Robbie has hit a snag. He's not quite sure how to add a background to this form. He spends time Googling, looking on Stack Overflow, and trying to understand the numerous conflicting ways of doing something like this. Wanting a comprehensive answer, he heads to a developer's desk. Once Robbie arrives, the developer stops what he is doing and consults Robbie on this single stylistic change. Not only is Robbie taking time away from the project to ask the question, but our developer has also stopped working on his project to help Robbie. What a nice guy. After some consulting, we see that Robbie is hard at work again. He moves all of his changes to the file, deploys in order to see them reflected on the page, and, unfortunately, they're not quite right. Looks like Robbie forgot to document some of his changes. He goes through, racking his brain on the changes he made. Luckily, he remembers them all, and sends the form over to the client. A few hours pass, and the client responds. The page isn't exactly what they had in mind, and they'd like Robbie to change some things. With this, Robbie will have to repeat the process all over again. Since the client can't see the changes until they're finished, even when Robbie is done, he has no idea if it's what the client wants or not. If only we could do this day over with a more simple method, maybe everything would be different. Let's do this all over, but with our AutoHook editor tool. He heads for his job at Urban Science, and the first thing on his agenda is a meeting. Robbie is meeting with the same client, MSU Cars, but it's slightly different this time. Well, would you look at that? Robbie is taking out his laptop and using the AutoHook editor tool is showing them what some of the changes would look like. Robbie shows them the form for Mike's Cars that they like and makes some of the changes in front of them in order to display the difference. When a template is cloned, the client is first selected. Then, the Clone a Project button is pressed and we select the project we want to clone from. If the project being cloned does not have template in the name, we make sure the user understands that they are cloning from an existing brand's template. That way, they are aware of any brand names or logos that they will need to change. After the user confirms that they want to clone, we enter the editor where Robbie can show the client what the form will look like. They revise their changes based on what Robbie is showing them and give him a more accurate list of things to do. Rather than keeping a list and working in the dev tools of his favorite browser, he's able to work in our dedicated editor this time. He's able to update the changes as he goes along, seeing what they look like whenever he pleases. Since we use an iframe to display the corresponding HTML page, we keep the network load light. Every time update is pressed, the iframe is destroyed and then recreated with the corresponding HTML text on the right. He hits the same snag as before. He's unsure about how to add a background. Rather than go and look around online, we have a toolbar for him to use with readily available assets for his project. He selects the background, and then the tags and elements are automatically loaded into his editor window. Now, he's all set to make the changes he wants. The buttons are also easily editable and hard-coded, so if the developers need to add buttons later on for questions they get frequently, it's easy to do so. He can also easily switch between forms, since all of these forms make up one project. They all need to be edited together, so they're kept together for easy access. These forms are separated into their own products within a project, so they can be edited independently in each project. Let's check in on our developer and see how he's doing. Look at that, working on his project without any interruptions. With this toolbar, we're able to cut down not only on Robbie's time searching for the resource that he wants to answer his question, but also on the developer's time answering Robbie's questions. If Robbie wants to check the content of his changes all at once, he can press the pop-out button to see what the form would look like to a user. This helps Robbie make sure the styling is consistent for the forms he is working on, as the entire form is visible. Once Robbie is happy with his changes and he's done for the day, he can save to pick his work back up next time. The save sends to an SQL database that has 3 consecutive saves within. This means that the information saved moves into the first slot, the information that was in the first slot then moves to the second, and finally, the information in the second save slot moves to the third. If Robbie then decides he's not happy with his work tomorrow, he can easily revert it, which does the same operation as a save, but just in reverse, putting the previous saves into their most recent slots. Overall, Robbie was able to get his work done more efficiently, and everyone is more satisfied with their work. The AutoHook editor is the solution to many of the Central Services team's workflow issues. With this one tool, we were able to solve all of the problems Robbie had throughout his day by putting everything he needs within a single client. With this web application, all of the inconveniences Robbie ran into throughout his day are solved. He is able to work quicker with less disturbances to his workflow. Not only does this help Robbie with his work, but it helps AutoHook make existing clients happier and more confident in their forms, as well as convincing new clients that AutoHook is a product worth using.